Hi there, and welcome to Wicked the Full Story. I will be reading an excerpt from The Birth of a Witch. We're going to pick up where Elphaba is born to Malena and Frex. So I'm hoping that you have been enjoying this so far, and we will skip forward. We pick up where Frex has left his wife in the care of the Fisher women, and I'm going to start reading where the part where Malena gives birth to Elphaba. As Frex is at his convention, he is attacked, and a woman takes care of him, puts him in the root cellar to help him out, keep him safe. And as he says to her, Malena, he croaks, they'll find her. He's worried that they're going to find his wife, who's ready to have their child at any moment. So back in the minister's lodge, where Malena and her husband Frex live, we're talking about Malena's struggle with consciousness as a pair of midwives went in and out of focus before her. One was a fishwife, the other a palsied crone. They took turns feeling her forehead, peering between her legs, and stealing glances at the few beautiful trinkets and treasures Malena had managed to bring here from Cowling grounds. You chew that paste of pin leaf, Ducky. You do that. You'll be unconscious before you know it, said the fishwife. You'll relax, out will pop the little sweetheart, and all will be well in the morning. Thought you would smell of rose water and fairy dew, but you stink like the rest of us. Chew on, my ducky, chew on. At the sound of a knock, the crone looked up guiltily from the chest she was kneeling before, rummaging through. She let the chest lid close with a bang and affected a position of prayer, eyes closed. Enter, she called. A maiden with tender skin and high color came in. Oh, I hope someone would be here, she said. How is she? Nearly out, and so is the babe, answered the fishwife. An hour more, I reckon. Well, I've told to warn you, the men are drunk on the prowl. They've been riled up by that dragon of the magic clock, and are looking for Frex to kill him. The clock said to. They'll likely stagger out here. We'd better get the wife safely away. Can she be moved? No, I cannot be moved, thought Malena, and if the peasant find Frex, tell him to kill him good and hard for me, for I never knew a pain so extraordinary that it made me see the blood behind my own eyes. Killing him for doing this to me. At this thought, she smiled in a moment of relief and passed out. Let's leave her here and run for it, said the maiden. The clock said to kill her too, and the little dragon she's going to give birth to. I don't want to get caught. We've got our own reputation to uphold, said the fishwife. We can't abandon the fancy lady thing in mid-delivery. I don't care what any clock says. The crone, her head back in the chest, said, Anyone for some real lace from Gilligan? There's a hay cart in the lower field. Let's do it now, said the fishwife. Come, help me fetch it. You, old mother hag, get your face out of the linens and come dampen this pretty pink brow. Right-o, now we go. A few moments later, the crone, the wife, and the maiden were trundling the hay cart along a rarely used track through the spindles and bracken of the autumn woods. The wind had picked up, whistled over the treeless foreheads of the cloth hills. Malena, sprawled in blankets, heaved and moaned in unconscious pain. They heard a drunken mob pass with pitchforks and torches, and the women stood silent and terrified, listening to the slurred curses. When they pressed on with greater urgency until they came upon a foggy copse, the edge of the graveyard for unconsecrated corpses. Within it they saw the blurred outlines of the dock. It had been left here for safekeeping by the dwarf. No fool he could guess this particular corner of the world was the last place jumpy villagers would seek tonight. The dwarf and his boykins were drinking in the tavern too, said the maiden breathlessly. There's no one here to stop us. I'm going to skip this next part. It's not relevant. The crone pushed open the door in the back of the clock. She found a crawl space. Pendulums hung ominously in the gloom. Huge toothed wheels looked primed to slice any trespasser into sausage rounds. Come on, drag her in, said the crone. They're going to take Melina into the Clock Dragon's tower to give birth to Elphaba. The night of torches and fog gave way at dawn to broad bluffs of thunderclouds, dancing skeletons of lightning. Glimpses of blue sky appeared briefly, though sometimes it rained so hard that it seemed like mud drops falling in water. The midwives crawling on hands and knees out at the back of the clock wagon had their little discharge at last. They protected the infant from the dripping gutter. "Look, a rainbow," said the senior, bobbing her head. A sickly scarf of colored light hung in the sky. "Boy, what an image that one presents to you, huh?" What they saw, rubbing the caul and the blood off the skin, was it just a trick of the light? After all, following the storm, the grass did seem to throb with its own color. The roses zinged and hovered with crazy glory on their stems. But even with these effects of light and atmosphere, the midwives couldn't deny what they saw. Beneath the spit of the mother's fluids, the infant glistened a scandalous shade of pale emerald. There was no bark, no wail of newborn outrage. The child opened its mouth, breathed, and then kept its own counsel. "Whine, you fiend," said the crone. "It's your first job." The baby shirked its obligations. "Another willful boy," said the fishwife, sighing. "Shall we kill it?" "Don't be so nasty to it," said the crone. "It's a girl." "Ha!" said the bleary-eyed maiden. "Look again. There's the weather vane." For a minute they were in disagreement, even with the child naked before them. Only after a second and third rub of it was it clear that the child was indeed feminine. Perhaps in labor some bit of organic effluvia had become caught and quickly dried in the cloven place. Once towed, she was observed to be prettily formed, with a long, elegant head, forearms nicely turned out, clever pinching little buttocks, cunning fingers with scratchy little nails, and an undeniable green cast to the skin. There was a salmon blush in the cheeks and belly, a beige effect around the clenched eyelids, a tawny stripe on the scalp showing the pattern of eventual hair, but the primary effect was vegetable. "Look what we got for our trouble," said the maiden. "A little green pat of butter. Why don't we kill it? We know what people will say." "I think it's rotten," said the fishwife. "Checked for the root of a tail, counted fingers and toes. Smells like dung." "That is dung you're smelling, you idiot. You're squatting in a cow pie." "It's sick. It's feeble. That's why the color. Lose it in the puddle. Drown the thing. She'll never know. She'll be out for hours in her ladylike faints." They giggled. They cradled the infant in the crook of their arms, passing it around to test it for weight and balance. To kill it was the kindest course of action. The question was how. The child yawned, and the fishwife absent-mindedly gave it a finger to nurse on, and the child bit the finger off at the second knuckle. It almost choked on the gush of blood. The digit dropped out of its mouth and into the mud like a bobbin. The woman catapulted into action. The fishwife lunged to strangle the girl, and the crone and the maiden flared up in defense. The finger was dug out of the smear and shoved into a pocket, possibly to be sewn back onto the hand that had lost it. The midwife crawled back into the clock and dropped the thing at its mother's breast, afraid to consider mercy murder for fear of what else the baby might bite. But what a child that sips blood even before its first suck of mother's milk. They left a pippin of water nearby, and under cover of the night squall, they went squelching away to find their sons and husbands and brothers, and berate them and beat them if they were available, or bury them if they were not. In the shadows, the infant stared overhead at the oiled and regular teeth of the time clock.